again. And that leads us nicely to the to Crosby Cromwell. Crosby, delighted to have you with us from the Valuable 500. People have been referring to what you've been doing and the whole organization and what you've achieved. Would you like to explain that to the wider audience and give your perspective on the topic of people with disability?
Sure, and thank you, Chris. I mean, so much has been said from the brilliant panelists already that I could almost say ditto and turn my video back off and be done for the day. But thank you for Neil and others who have called out what the Valuable 500 is doing and are part of our initiative. I mean, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Verizon, Orange are all Valuable 500 companies and are leading this work forward. I'll tell you about what that means in just a minute. But to begin with an audio description, I'm coming to you from my apartment in Washington, D.C. I have long red hair, skin that will always burn in the sun, even though I wish it wouldn't. And I'm wearing a green shirt today. So really thrilled to be having this conversation. I am the Chief Partnerships Officer for the Valuable 500, which is a B2B initiative driving disability inclusion further through the business ecosystem, specifically with 500 companies. And we are here to talk about the future and what is coming. We are actively in conversation with our companies, hearing what they're doing for their own individual commitment statements, how they're moving and working and learning from the collective as a whole. I mean, really what we're seeing right now, I think Andrew, Chris said it best in one of the first, one or two sentences opening the entire session up, that the timing is right. I have spent 20 years in this space and have never seen a better opportunity than what we are experiencing at this moment to actually, like, truly not lip service, move this work forward. I think there are a couple of reasons why that's happening. We need to point out that the statistics are still bleak, and it's important to talk about that and understand it. Unemployment statistics are still high. Healthcare was sent into a tailspin, of course, with COVID last year, and was already bleak in some spaces in the disability community. Wage gap is a real issue. But on the other side of that, the optimism is high. And I think there are a few things that are converging. One, business is in this. I mean, look at the companies who've already spoken today. These are huge global heavy hitters who are doing this because it matters not only for their employee base, but from a consumer P&L perspective, to hit the bottom line, that innovation around disability, accessibility, inclusion matters and brings money into the company. So business is on board. I think the second thing that is converging with the timing being right is that the disability community itself and individuals with disabilities are growing in power around their disability identity. I mean, what Neil puts out on his podcast is brilliant. And I would suggest as well, others have already said, to follow it. But also, if you want to dip into this conversation, look at the #disability Twitter to learn how broad and wide this is, and where the expectation and the demands are starting to come from the disabled consumer who want to be seen and heard, who want you to understand that they have buying power. And I think the third thing that is a part of all of this timing being right is what happened last year with COVID-19 and this pandemic, where we all were put into a tailspin in a way that we shared communally. It was a global occurrence. To the point that was just made in the last video, I think we got to honest a lot faster last year, and there was a humanity that rose out of this experience. We are talking about mental health differently. We're thinking about it. We're including it in all of our conversations in a different way. And if we can capitalize on humanity of what came out of last year, combined with what we're seeing come from business around disability innovation, there is no going back. So to Larry's point about table stakes, this is where table stakes comes in for disability inclusion. As we talk to our companies, we're learning about the many ways in which they're advancing it, they're driving it, they're embedding it. There was a point made, I think Neil talked about the FTSE study that we put out in conjunction with Tortoise Media, that did show, again, some of those bleak statistics where 0 CEOs within the FTSE 100 have identified as having a disability at this point. It's 8 companies are reporting their disability data, 12 companies, I'm sorry, are reporting their disability data externally. 8 more are reporting it internally, so 20 total of the FTSE 100. We need more. We need deeper conversation. We need more public conversation. We need CEOs coming forward. But Here's the thing that's being led out of the Valuable 500, which are 500 companies led by 500 CEOs who've said, you know, this is a moment in time. And it's a stake in the ground that they are willing to make, and to be open to talk and work with quote unquote competitors in this space. We're already seeing these kind of conversations come up and take place. I have had fascinating discussions with companies like Auto Trader through what they're doing around really interesting techniques for self-disclosure internally, or up to 13% of their employee base disclosing a disability. Barclays, of course, at 14%. We are working with Intertech, one of our companies who you may know, a global company who focuses on risk management, has reached out to 15 plus companies within the Valuable 500 collective to look at disability travel and inclusion travel from end to end, from the moment you get in the cab to headed to the airport, to what you'll expect in your hotel, to what you'll want from entertainment. The consumer is demanding more, and companies are rising to those table stakes that Larry talked about.
Thank you very much, Crosby. What is fascinating is that once you do get those discussions going at the high level, then it does filter down fantastically throughout the organization. So it seemed to be led from the top, then we all benefit. Moving on, we have another video contribution. Selena Chan from Rakuten Viber was going to join us in person, and then travel plans changed. So Sam, could you please roll the video from Selena from Rakuten Viber?